Hey everyone, NoelEQ here. Welcome back to another devlog for Wyld Land, the browser-based bullet hell MMO. I've been hard at work and I'm excited to share my latest updates with you. Today I'm covering a lot of ground. I'll show you the new achievement system, some game balancing changes, community-driven improvements, and brand new in-game chat. Plus, I'll do a deep dive into the looting and itemization systems. And stick around till the end for the announcement of our first alpha test dates. Let's start with the new achievement system. I wanted to give players long-term goals that they can work toward over time while playing the game, even between deaths. It's also going to serve as a nice set of guideposts for new players. For example, beat these dungeons in increasing difficulty. Some achievements are going to be pretty straightforward. Just beat the boss or kill a certain number of enemies in the overworld. Others are more to challenge yourself, like beating a boss without using your dash or without taking damage. As a reward for these, you'll be able to claim some cosmetic rewards like cool capes that change your character's appearance or titles that you can equip to show off your accomplishments to other players in-game. Next up, let's talk game balancing. I've made some changes to the dash mechanic based on playtesting and feedback. The dash is a key piece of the game and having it really changes the types and quantity of bullet patterns and attacks we can add. But just letting the player dash an unlimited number of times repeatedly made it a little too easy to cheese certain scenarios. Now you have a limited number of dash charges, currently 3, which slowly reload over time. This means you'll need to be more strategic about when and how you use your dash, but you can still burst a few dashes in a row if you need to escape a sticky situation. I'm also planning to add in future enemy attacks that still hit you even if you dash to make for some really interesting gameplay. Speaking of community feedback, there was a suggestion from the community to add an indicator to ground explosions so you can see exactly when it will do damage. I think this was a great idea and it's been added. I've also added some basic in-game chat so you can chat with other nearby players. Handy for forming up groups or just exchanging tips on the game. It's really basic right now, but I'll continue to expand it further in the future. I did a quick poll in the Discord asking what I should do a deep dive on for this devlog, and folks really want to know more about the looting and itemization in the game. So here's what I know so far, with the caveat that this is all subject to change based on playtesting and feedback. Wyld Land will have several weapon categories, including assault rifles, blasters, fusion rifles, laser cannons, the list goes on. Each type has its own strengths and playstyle. Some are more spray and pray, others require you to get up and close and personal, and some just blow up the whole place. You can equip up to 3 weapons at once. In addition to weapons, you've got a head, armor, feet, and hand slots. Each of these slots focus on a different primary stat. Attack is your primary stat for determining damage output. Your weapon is the main driver of your attack. Speed affects how quick you are, including your base movement speed and how far you can dash. Your foot slot will have speed. Vitality gives you more health, which gives you more survivability and is key for harder content. Your armor slot is where you'll get that. Affinity is how well your character meshes with the leftover ethos tech that's all around you, and it reduces cooldowns of your items. You'll acquire that via your hand slot. And finally, there's recovery, which allows you to regen health both in and out of combat, and it comes from your head slot. In addition to all these primary stats, there are secondary stats like critical hit chance, critical damage, luck, chance to burn, and a few more. These can appear on any gear slot and allow for more specialized builds. So, how do you get all of these things? Weapons and gear drop randomly in most content. For example, you could find a rare assault rifle or a legendary headpiece just by killing enemies in the overworld or in dungeons. The higher the difficulty of the content, the higher chance you'll find rarer loot, and the higher the stats on that loot will be. So it's really pretty straightforward. Just play the game and have fun, and keep getting loot drops and upgrading your gear until you max out all of your primary stats. For players who want to take it a step further, you can go for god rolls that have the secondary stats you prioritize for your gameplay style by continuing to acquire loot even once you're maxed out. In addition to all of that random loot, there are also boss loot tables for each boss in the dungeons. You have 2 passive and 1 active item slots as well, and these items are only found on bosses that drop those specific items. So it gives you a reason to go and farm certain bosses to get the items you want. Likewise, there are exotic weapons available that you can only find on certain bosses. So advanced players will likely want to farm for specific items and exotic weapons to complete their high-level characters. And to add a further runway to players who want to truly get the best loot in the game, there are corrupted dungeons. Corrupted dungeons work like Mythic Plus dungeons if you've ever played World of Warcraft. Completing a dungeon in a certain amount of time gives you a shard to run another random dungeon at the next level up. As long as you're able to keep this chain going and keep leveling up your shard, you can keep getting harder and harder content and higher loot. Dungeon shards also come with mutations like enemies exploding, double damage from bullets, and more. This system won't be in just yet for the first alpha test, but I'll do a deeper dive in a future video. So there's really a variety of ways to get loot in the game, ranging from just do whatever seems fun and level up, to go and chase down a particular exotic weapon that only drops rarely from a certain boss. My hope is that this keeps the game from feeling stale, and lets people find new and engaging ways to play without being shoehorned into only one set of content that gives meaningful loot. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm thrilled to announce the first alpha test. It will run from September 20th at 6 p.m. Central Time until September 22nd at 6 p.m. Central Time. This is your chance to get an early look at Wyld Land and help shape its development. For the alpha test, you'll be able to play the game fully, including killing enemies in the overworld, running a few dungeons with unique bosses, and getting a whole lot of loot. I'll be spending the next few weeks adding as much content as I can to the game, and I can't wait to start getting your feedback about the game and how fun it is and what I should prioritize to improve. If you want to play in the test, just be in our Discord server, and I'll announce the link there. And if you're enjoying these devlogs, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in game.